So you may recall that a few months ago, we got the massive reveal that player housing is finally coming to World of Warcraft with the Midnight expansion. And more specifically, it seems that it's coming before the Midnight expansion, probably with the pre-patch, but we haven't really gotten any information on the housing system since then until now, because pretty recently we got some data mined information going over a ton of information on the player housing system. And oddly enough, this information was data mined from the Cataclysm Classic PTR, and this file being called Player Housing Constants Documentation.lua. Now, it's anyone's guess why a bunch of player housing information would be in the Cataclysm Classic PTR. There's a handful of reasons why it could be there. Potentially just being a mistake, someone was working on it and it was mistakenly added to this PTR. There's the potential that player housing could also be added to the classic version of the game, which would be very interesting, or a more outlandish theory that this was kind of placed here to drum up a bit of additional hype for player housing and potentially throw out a bit of information to see how people would respond to it. But no matter the reason this information was in a classic PTR, it seems to be giving a lot of information on how the housing system is going to work, and it seems to be pretty expansive. And the overarching information we get from a lot of these files is that it seems player housing in World of Warcraft is going to be fully customizable like you would expect or get from other MMOs with housing features, where you can go into full edit modes, you can add or remove items, you can edit them, increase the size, decrease the size, change the decor of items, change how items look, and pretty much just fully customize your housing experience, which I think is what everybody wants. And to start off, there are a bunch of housing categories, starting with the section on housing decor. So you have flags being interior or exterior. You have a few options for model types. You have a bunch of different themes: folk, rugged, generic, and opulent. And then you have a bunch of different types. So floor, wall, ceilings, and tabletops. And that seems to be the more kind of outline or main features of housing. There's also interior and exterior, seeming to point towards the ability to not only customize the inside of your house, but also the outside. Then you obviously have all the different customizations of having different themes, and then having all of the different types that all of the actual housing items would be filtered into. So say on the floor, that would be anything you'd be able to place on the floor. In the wall type, that'd be anything you'd be able to place on the wall. So any of your trophies, any boss heads, anything like that. And then there's another section under housing exterior, which has component size, and it has small, medium, large. So it does seem like you're going to be able to change the size of most of the items you're able to put in your house or outside of your house or customize your house with, which does make sense because that is a function in a lot of World of Warcraft already, where they can pretty easily change the size of items. I mean, we even have this as a feature in the game in general. Like, you have some toys that can just increase or decrease your size. And you've probably noticed, if you played the game long enough and gone through a bunch of different expansions, you'll sometimes see the exact same asset or chair or table or something just being somewhere else with a completely different size. And then they also have component theme, which I currently only have human, and that would probably be just all of the items you're able to place around your house and customize it with being themed around humans. And I think it's pretty obvious that they would be adding more options over time, and there'll almost certainly be a lot more options than just human theme when it's actually released. And then something that's also really interesting is under permission, we have a bunch of additional information. We have add decor, change decor parameters, enter decor edit mode, move decor, remove decor, save house, select decor, edit layout. Now, I'm not sure if this permission is just meaning you as the player just has that permission, so this isn't like a player facing thing, or if this means you're able to give other people permissions to do this in your house, because there's also some other parts of these files that seem to indicate that you're able to give other players some amounts of permission to change things in your house. And that would actually be a really cool feature, being able to allow other people to come into your house and customize it for you. And I think some of the most exciting parts about this leaked information is just how many items and options are already within these files, which seem to be really early. And this is basically only one file. There's not actually a ton of information within this when looking at an overall player housing system. We have a ton of additional stuff like doors with a bunch of different options like large or narrow doors. You have a bunch of different options for doors and doorways and different cosmetic options between that. You even have options for things like stairs and pillars, seeming like you may even be able to make multiple floors of your building. Maybe you'll even be able to build like a smaller building outside if there's going to be an exterior, and they give players the ability to maybe place walls or floors or ceilings or stairs. You may be able to build like additional structures within your player housing plot. And all in all, I think this is easily one of the most exciting pieces of future content coming to the game. People have wanted player housing since WoW released. There was actually a work in progress player housing system back all the way in vanilla that was never actually fleshed out or released. And I think the more options and possibilities they give with the player housing system, I just think the better it's generally going to be for the game as a whole. Not only just because that would mean the player housing system is better in general, but this is also adding a massive new reward vector to the game. I think a lot of players who have been playing this game for a long time have been getting a bit bored with the rewards we currently have when it comes to cosmetics, like just getting a new mount when you have 500 mounts, getting a new pet when you have 1,000 pets, getting a new piece of transmog when you have thousands of transmog pieces. All of that stuff kind of just dumps into the massive pile of cosmetics you already have there. But a housing system, you can now reuse a lot of that stuff, but you can add in a massive amount of new things you can go earn that are actually pretty exciting, because you can go out and say do a boss that drops this cool item you want to put in your house, go kill that boss, get that item, and go back to your house and just place it directly in your house, which I think will just be a massive addition to the game in general. But that's pretty much all I want to go over, so thanks for watching.